Muted.
Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Eastham. Today is September 5th, and this is a partially remote participation meeting. Members of the board are gathered here in the Earle Mountain Room at Town Hall. Applicants and the public may participate in person here or online through the Zoom app or by phoning in. This meeting will be live broadcast on local access channel 18 and streaming on the town website. Under the executive order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law signed by former Governor Charlie Baker on March 12, 2020, all members in any meeting of the public body may participate remotely. I'm Joanne Verlinden, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I will be conducting the meeting tonight with the help of my colleagues. Before we begin, I'll just explain how this procedure goes. I will introduce the case to be heard, name the board members who will be seated on the case. This will be followed by a presentation of the owners or their representative. In this case, it's the owners. And the nature of the case and the reasons for requesting their special permit. Following that, board members may ask questions regarding various aspects of the case. And at any point in the process, the applicants may, if they wish, request a continuance to make appropriate revisions to their application. When board members have finished with their questions, we will open the meeting to abutters. I don't see any tonight, so we probably won't be doing that. And then we will close that part of the public session, and the board may then discuss various aspects of the application. There will be a reading of the findings of fact and conditions, and then we'll come to a decision about whether or not to approve the request for the special permit. So with that,
Joanne, there is somebody dialed in there. I don't know if that's an abutter or whom, but it appears that there's someone on the line there. Just for our awareness.
Okay, thank you. This is case number ZBA 2024-3, 735C Campground Road, map 7, parcel 324C. Charles and Paula Cocce, owners and applicants seek a special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Eastham Zoning Bylaw, Section 19.2, non-conforming uses, buildings and structures, and Section 7.2.4 setback requirements to demolish an existing dwelling and build a new two-story residential dwelling relocated to increase rear setback approximately 5 feet. The property is pre-existing, non-conforming to minimum side yard setbacks. Seated on this case will be Doug Bird, Justin Kennington, Jared Carey, Martin Ridge, and myself. And now, folks, if you'd like to talk to us about your plan.
Sure. So we started this process a couple of years ago and talked with a number of contractors. We had designs made up and so forth. The property needs a lot of different work. It's got a leaky roof, and the gentleman who's repaired that for us several times now said that the rafters are so soft because they were exposed for so long prior to us even buying the house that a lot of the roof would need to be replaced. The floors are uneven. Yeah, it's built in 1950 and it has a great look to it, but the property just needs a lot of work. The stairs are extremely steep. It doesn't have a second floor bathroom. So we have had people that have slipped down the stairs and a number of things. So I'll spare you the lengthy explanation of that, but the common agreement by all the contractors was it really should be rebuilt, demoed and rebuilt versus try to patchwork it and make it habitable. So we moved forward with a plan to rebuild it, and we had a very nice design for a Cape house. That was a 2,100 square foot Cape house, but unfortunately, by the time we submitted our application, had an engineer design and submitted that application. The new amendment went through that requires us to only expand by 12 to 15% of the lot size.
Mhm.
And being a condo, non-conforming already, pre-existing non-conforming, and over the square footage limit for what would normally be allowed, made things a little bit difficult. So a very long story short, and several designs later, we finally came up with a plan. We worked actually closely with Paul on that as well, and guided us along. And Phil, who was Angie's predecessor,
Mhm.
guided us along, and we said, look, just if you could just tell us what we can do, that's what we'll do. It's, you know, the easier way, the easier route. So we did that, and we came up with what we think is a very nice design, and it's very similar to the current design, but it does allow us for additional bathroom upstairs. And it would add a total of 177 square feet. So when we came up with the formula, or Phil came up with the formula for what is allowed for square footage, it was determined that each property, of each of the 5 properties in there, dwellings in there, would be allowed 93.6 square feet. And we proposed that we combine our available square footage with the other cottage that we own in that group with the unit C square footage, combine some of that with the unit C square footage, and came up with the additional 177 square feet of gross square floor area that we would add to the current dwelling. And then in conversations again, it seemed like it might be beneficial to all of us if we pulled that property while we're in the process, just keeping the same footprint, but just pull the whole thing forward by 5 feet away from that lot line, the back lot line. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay. Questions, anybody?
If I could add, we did attend a preliminary hearing last March, which was recommended that we do as well. And nobody really had any questions there, so we're hoping that
The preliminary hearing here or
Yes.
the planning board?
a planning board.
Planning board, yes, because I didn't remember
haven't
seeing
seen
you
it,
last. Okay.
Why,
Questions?
why the 5-foot move?
Just to pull it off of that lot line, you know, the trees that are planted right on that lot line grow into the back of the house.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly trimming those, so it would allow us to just move that forward, and I think we looked at the setback for the septic system, and there was available space there, so we thought we'd pull that forward.
Would you talk to us a little bit about the septic system? And we have letters from you and I think 2 other owners that speak to the fact that should the current septic system fail, that 4 of the 5 owners are willing to pay for a new AI system. Is that correct?
Yes, in order to, I guess the requirement via the condo docs is that we have a majority of people that would be in favor of installing a new septic system should the current one fail. What we're trying to show there is that we have that majority. The 5th owner abstained from responding. And we understand their position. They're older than us and thinking that the current septic system is fine. And
I take it is currently working
it
all
is.
right?
We have that inspected, was inspected, I want to say the last property that changed hands was 3 years ago. But it is pumped every year, and it's only been used seasonally because those are seasonal properties. So the usage is very low on that, and it was built in 2000. So it's a pretty solid system.
I had a few questions. I think you
Sure.
just answered one. The septic system that's there currently is from the year 2000.
2000, right?
When you said that properties are used seasonally, are they deed restricted seasonal, or it's just a matter of fact? They're
Deed
seasonal?
restricted,
They are, okay.
April 1st to December 1st. We are all currently in, you know, this goes back to 2000. Now we're all in town water. So it's possible that down the road, if the condo owners wanted to try and go that direction, we could open them up, but They're seasonal
So
properties.
you're seasonal because of your condo agreement, not
Correct.
because of the town or
Yes.
anything.
There is a bylaw that regulates the seasonality for the cottage colonies. You can convert it to a year-round use, but it has to be either owner occupied or a year-round rental.
Okay.
That doesn't-
And you, your plan is to live seasonally in cottage C, and you're using for friends and family when they come to visit, is that
It's,
right?
it's also used as a rental property.
Okay.
Um,
I have some questions by way of Bob Sheldon for you, I think, Paul. He called me yesterday and he was concerned, he was concerned about the rental certificate program that the town enacted at town meeting a year ago. And you're going to demolish number C and build it from the ground up again, pretty much in the same footprint.
Yes.
And one of Bob's questions was, what happens if the rebuilding isn't completed by next rental season and you want to rent that house out? What happens to the rental certificate? Does it disappear?
Oh, does it lapse?
Can you, it lapses? Can you seek a renewal of it? Or does it go away and you never get it back?
Well, I think the concern that Bob was bringing up was the limit on how many rentals you can have.
Short, yeah, short.
This-
So you can have two
Short-term.
short-term rentals, so
Yes,
you don't have, these are the only properties you have, right?
We have 4 altogether, 2 in this particular group.
In Eastham, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a valid question.
it is-
So
Are all 4
Potentially
used as a
relevant.
short-term rental?
Yes, they're all, none of them are winterized. They all have the plumbing on the exterior of the building, so we have to shut those
So-
down.
So the way the bylaw that was enacted last year is written, there's a limit to one owner or one entity is limited, can only have a limit of 2 short-term rental properties. Owners that owned more than 2 at the time of the bylaw are grandfathered, legacy protected, so you can maintain those 4 units, and as long as you keep renting them and renewing the registration, and it doesn't change hands, there's no conveyance, then you go on doing that.
I-
If you fail to renew the registration, then that protection lapse. So in this case, where you're gonna have to take that unit offline, you're gonna have to renew that rental registration.
without running water.
Well, yeah, that.
Well, you can get the registration, you're not gonna be able to actually rent it, but you're gonna have to, in order to preserve that, you're
So,
gonna have to basically get a rental registration, even though you're not gonna be able to rent it.
so we would be able to do that. That's the further clarification than I understood prior. The understanding we had prior was that if we don't have this thing completed in time for this summer rental season, the certificate lapses with no hope of ever renewing that
Well, you
again.
can get a certificate,
Can,
but you're not gonna be able to, you're not gonna get approval to actually rent it,
right.
but to preserve your space, so
Right.
you will renew your property, your rental registration. But you're not gonna rent it.
Right, right. Well, again,
point in that.
that'd be short term, if nothing at all, we could very well just be moving right into that property next year if it's done. So,
Paul, I just want to understand. So if, just hypothetically, next year comes, it's summertime and they've got a basement, or maybe they got some kind of foundation, they got a frame and nothing else. They can get a rental certificate at that point?
Well, through you could, but you're not actually gonna rent it.
Well, yeah, I think nobody would rent it
Yeah.
in that hypothetical case.
That's the only way, that's the only way to
Okay,
preserve that.
but they wouldn't fail some kind of inspection or idea that says this is not
The inspe-
habitable, therefore you can't have the certificate,
The inspections don't occur every year,
right?
so the health department does inspections, they try to do a third of the
Yeah.
total every year, so. I guess one or two things, you're gonna, if you don't fall in the cycle of the on-site inspection,
Right.
you're gonna renew your rental certificate and it's just gonna get renewed. But obviously there's no structure there to rent anyways.
Right.
If you happen to fall into that in that cycle, you would still register it when they come out to do the inspection. It'll be obvious, and then they'll flag it as it's not being rented, but you're still, I guess from the town's perspective, we're still collecting the rental.
So the registration, the registration and the rental certificate are two different functions. Two different,
I guess the town is looking at it as
Mhm.
if you want to keep those protected units, you need to pay the fee whether you're renting it or not. So if you take it offline because you have to do work or maintenance, you still need to renew the registration.
And if they do that, then at some point in the future, when the house is ready to rent, they can actually rent it, all for it, right? If they've kept
Yeah.
their rental certificate up to date.
So then ultimately their risk is they have to waste $400 on a certificate they can't use 1 year.
Pretty much.
As opposed to the risk of you can never short-term rent this again. Okay.
Okay.
But if it's owner occupied seasonal, it's not considered a rental, right? So then they're just down to 3 rentals?
I think if it did lapse, that would be what happens, yeah.
Right,
They
if you
could use it.
decided to say this unit is for our family use, we're not renting it.
We decide
Then
whether or
you-
not to renew.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Any,
to be clear, the septic system is not within our jurisdiction, right?
no, that's health department,
That's what I thought.
but it was, it's mentioned here in the staff notes
Yes.
and
Yes.
I was just trying to get some clarification about
Yes.
who's for it and who's not.
Right, right.
are you in process of getting a waiver for the AI system?
Where that stands right now is that we're going to request a review with the Board of Health, I'm sorry, with the Health Department to understand maybe if there are other options we can explore. We learned about a new technology just a couple of weeks ago that is significantly less expensive than what we had approved by the Board of Health in July. And we'd like to discuss that with the Health Department to see if we can continue down that road. And in the meantime, the engineer that's designing that also is giving them additional data that they've requested. So that's the whole process that's going on. But, you know, ideally, if we could install something much less expensive that will still, apparently this nitrogen filtering system of the new technology is even better than the AI system that we had designed. So, you know, it might be a step back before we can move forward, but if it's that much less costly, the current system is up in the $200,000 range. So this gentleman seems to think that this technology could be as much as 80% less than that.
Wow.
So it's significant. It's not just a matter of a
Yes.
$10,000 savings. It's worth
Jason
exploring.
didn't say anything to me about my system.
No, they should. They should have.
I'm gonna call it now.
Okay, any more questions or comments or?
Yeah, a couple, one or two things anyway. I think I'm mostly just checking my understanding here. If I compare the existing floor plan to the new, I think there's a porch on the backside that's being converted into living space now. Is that right? At least it's labeled as
It's a
porch.
sunroom. It's on the left side
That
of
must
the
be-
house.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
actually enclosed with windows right now. So we're just opening that.
Sure, it's called porch on my diagram here. So yeah, my question was really to Paul, that is counted as existing, what's it called, floor space,
Yes.
Counts towards the site coverage, yeah.
right? Site coverage, there you go. But that's existing site coverage. So the increase is only basically the bathrooms upstairs.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, that matches what I thought. Let's see. I got scribbled pink notes in a few places. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Yep, we talked about that. No, I think we're good. I'm sorry.
I'm good as well.
I just had one question.
Sure.
I saw the letter that got sent out to the other owners.
Yes.
Was other information provided to them outside of this? Did they see structural drawings or anything else?
Yes,
within the
they've seen
package?
all the septic design drawings, the site plans, the building designs, everything has been shared with them. We've had multiple conversations on the phone about the design, timeframes, the the septic system, all of that. So
Okay. All right. And we don't know who EMR is over there.
That's
EMR is
Earl,
us.
Earl Mountain Room.
Oh, okay.
Haley?
And Earl isn't saying anything. So let's go to
There is one person online if you want to ask them, Haley as a guest.
Haley, Mr. Haley, Mrs. Haley.
Hello, this is Nancy Haley. I'm an abutter and I am participating because I'm interested in the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No questions?
No
I-
questions.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, are you in favor or just?
I'm just listening. I'm not going to take a position, just for my own information.
Okay, well,
As a
thank you
rep-
for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Justin, would you read the proposed findings of fact for us, please?
Would be happy to. The Zoning Board of Appeals finds that. Number one, the property is located at 735C Campground Road, map 7, parcel 324C, and is located in District A residential. Number two, the applicant has applied for a special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Eastham Zoning Bylaw, Section 19.2, non-conforming uses, buildings, and structures, and Section 7.2.4, setback requirements, to demolish the existing dwelling and build a new two-story residential dwelling relocated to increase rear setback approximately 5 feet. The property is pre-existing non-conforming to minimum side yard setbacks. Number three, the existing structure is pre-existing non-conforming to the side setback. However, the new structure will be 5 feet from the property line versus touching the property line as the current dwelling that will be removed. Number four, after an evaluation of all the evidence presented, the site is adequate for the proposed use in terms of size of the proposed structure or use. The lot is 37,777 square feet and consists of 5 condo cottages. Each cottage is eligible for 93 feet of expansion. The applicant owns 2 of the condos and wishes to use the allotment for expansion for both cottages at Unit C. The allotment for both cottages is 187 square feet, and Unit C will use 177 square feet of that. Number 5, after an evaluation of all the evidence presented, the site is suitable for the proposed structure or use with regard to the purpose and intent of the zoning district. The existing residential use is permitted in the residential zoning district. Number 6, the proposal does provide adequate management of traffic flow and minimizes unsafe and harmful impacts within the site, as well as in relation to adjoining streets and properties. The proposed plan will not change parking for Unit C or the cottage colony as a whole. Number 7, after an evaluation of all the evidence presented, the proposed structure is compatible with surrounding land uses so as to minimize harmful impact or conflict with existing desirable neighborhood character, including views, vistas, and other aesthetic values. The home will increase the square footage from 1,057 square feet to 1,234 square feet and is using the expansion limits of 2 cottages, thus allowing it to expand more than the others. However, the footprint is largely the same and character is in keeping with the neighborhood. No detrimental issues have been identified. The proposed structure will utilize traditional building materials common throughout the neighborhood, including clapboard siding, asphalt roofing, and double-hung windows. The new dwelling will be 27.6 feet tall within the bylaw height limit and will not obstruct the views the other cottages currently have. Number 8, the proposal does have adequate methods of sewage disposal, sources of potable water, and site drainage. The site has an existing cottage colony HOA shared septic system. A condition of approval should require the applicant to obtain a waiver for the installation of a Title V compliant IA septic system for the cottage colony with written and recorded agreement with the Board of Health and Barnstable County that when the current system fails, a majority of the cottage colony HOA has agreed by vote that they will replace the system with an IA septic system.
Maybe we should interject an IA system or what do you call the other one?
I think it's the technical, I'm not sure if the technical term, they call it sledgehammer system.
I think.
So-
the
Could we
term-
just put Title V approved?
I think the term IA means.
I think it's sufficiently
any-
generic,
any-
isn't it?
Any of those innovative.
Innovative alternative.
Okay.
Just keep it generic that they
Okay,
have to,
okay.
they
All right.
have to get,
We don't
Board of
have to
Health
be complicated.
could be any number of,
Nitrogen filtering system maybe that meets,
the operative thing is they need to have
Board of Health, yeah.
Board of Health.
Right,
a-
approval.
An approved
I'll
system.
put Board of Health approval there.
Okay. All right.
Do we feel satisfied with how it's been read, or shall I change something?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay.
I just want some clarification there.
Sure. Number 9, the proposal does provide adequate protection and maintenance of groundwater quality and recharge volume and the water quality of coastal and fresh surface water bodies. The site is not located within any resource areas. Conservation Commission approval is not required. No detrimental issues have been identified related to degradation or alteration of the natural environment involving slopes and other topographical features, vegetation, wetlands, and wildlife habitat. Number 10, the proposal does provide adequate provision for utilities and other necessary or desirable public services. The site is served by electrical, telephone, cable, and data services adequate for residential use. No detrimental issues have been identified. Number 11, artificial light, noise, litter, odor, or other sources of nuisance or inconvenience will be adequately controlled. A condition of approval will require that all exterior lights to be downshielded to reduce light spill onto adjacent properties. Number 12, the proposal does provide adequate protection from degradation and alteration of the natural environment. The site is not located within any resource areas. No negative impacts were identified. Number 13, after an evaluation of all the evidence presented and based on the finding of fact, the proposed alteration to the pre-existing non-conforming cottage will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood or the public welfare than the existing non-conforming structure. The setback will increase the current dwelling's 1.5 feet setback to a 5-foot setback, therefore reducing the nonconformity and neighborhood impact by moving the dwelling farther from the lot line. 0 abutters appeared in favor and 0 appeared in opposition of the proposal. 0 letters were received in favor and 0 in opposition.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the findings of fact? All right, Doug, and may I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Martin? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Jared, would you read the proposed conditions for us,
Certainly.
please?
Proposed conditions, no building permit shall be issued until the application complies with all pertinent sections of the town of Eastham zoning bylaw. Number 2, the applicant shall obtain a demolition and building permit from the Eastham Building Department prior to the start of the construction. Number 3, the applicant shall verify bedroom count and septic design for adequacy with the approved plan with the Eastham Health Department, and if necessary, shall obtain approval from the Board of Health prior to the issuance of a building permit. Number 4, all exterior lights shall be downshielded to reduce light spill and nuisances to adjacent properties. Number 5, the applicant is responsible for providing building plans to the Eastham Building and Fire Departments. Plans shall contain information on construction methods and materials sufficient to conduct a full code compliance review. Number 6, plan reviews conducted by town staff as part of this approval have been conducted for conformance with applicable sections of zoning bylaw and for adequacy of the site, for public safety access and environmental impacts. An additional plan review for health and safety code compliance will be required and may result in changes to the approved plans. Any changes to the proposed site plan dated August 1st, 2024, Offshore Breezes LLC, proposed floor plans and elevation pages 1 through 6, proposed septic plan J.C. Ellis Designs dated July 1, 2024, or proposed site plan J.C. Ellis Designs July 1, 2024, except those that are de minimis, must be reviewed by the zoning board. If the board finds a change to be substantial, renotice is necessary for a new hearing. Number 7, the applicant owner shall maintain the perimeter vegetation in accordance with zoning bylaw section 7.2.6, perimeter vegetation. An area not less than 6 feet in width measured from and perpendicular to the lot lines around the perimeter of the lot shall be maintained with trees, shrubs, or other plants in order to keep or create a naturalized buffer between properties. Portions of this area may be paved for pedestrian and vehicle access, but at no time shall pedestrian and or vehicular access be located within 6 feet of the side property lines. Number 8, landscaping within the 6-foot perimeter, property perimeter may be undertaken at any point in the future per zoning bylaw, section 10.1.6, perimeter vegetation. Clear cutting of vegetation within the 6-foot perimeter vegetation setback where removal of vegetation is not subject to any other regulatory review may be approved by the planning board or its designee without a public hearing, provided that abutters share a common lot line and have been notified of the proposed site work no less than 14 days prior to the approval, and no abutter has requested a public hearing. In making its determination, the planning board or its designees shall utilize applicable sections of zoning bylaw, section 10, site plan approval. Number 9, the applicant shall file the special permit decision letter with the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds and provide a copy to the building department before issuance of a building permit. Number 10, the board reserves the right to monitor the ongoing construction for compliance with the approved plan. Additional conditions. Number 11, the applicant to obtain a waiver for the installation of Title V compliant IA septic system for the cottage colony with written and recorded agreement with the Board of Health in Barnstable County via their ZBA decision letter that when the current system fails, the majority of the cottage colony HOA has agreed by vote and letter submitting to the building department that they will replace the system with an IA septic system. Number 12, the applicant acknowledges that they and any future owners have only 10 square foot of expansion at cottage A, given they are combining their allotment of expansion for both properties they own, A and C, to be used as C. This will be recorded with Barnstable County in the ZBA decision letter.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the conditions?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second, Doug?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. May I have a motion to approve or deny the application for case number ZBA 2024-03 at 735C Campground Road?
I move to approve.
All right,
I'll second that move.
okay. I'm going to do a roll call here.
Aye.
Justin, Martin,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Jared.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Sorry, who seconded that? Martin.
Aye.
Martin. Okay. Congratulations. You're off and running.
More stuff.
First step of the process.
And I do have a question now that it's over. The idea that they have to put in an AI system, but they're not under any environmental review. Why would it be an IA system in this case, not a traditional system?
The IA,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, it's,
Normally, if
you're
you're
saying that
within,
it's an,
if you're within 100 feet of a wetland of a resource,
yeah.
then you should have to put an IA system in. But if they were, but they would also have to go through Conservation Committee at the same time, because they're within 100 feet. I thought the same rule that designates whether you have to put an AI also designates whether you're in. Whether you have
No,
to go to
no,
conservation.
so if it's just work that was in the resource area or the buffer. If you're doing any work within that area, you have to
Okay.
go to Conservation Commission, no matter whether it's the septic system or doing the house, but that's not tied to that, so you, in a lot of circumstances, the owner will have to put an IA system for other reasons, not because they're in a conservation jurisdiction. It could be based on a number of factors. So they really look
Okay.
at it like it's based on the lot size, the septic capacity, what that's allowed under the state Title V regulations. There's also criteria for whether or not the lot is environmentally sensitive, which could be because it's actually in a resource area. It could be because it has a high water table, so the ability for
Okay, so
the
there's a lot
system to
more
perk.
so there's a lot more reasons why an IA system kicks in.
Yeah, it's not
Conservation
just
could-
because it's a conservation area or not. There could be a number of different reasons.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, in this case, there's probably relatively a lot of bedrooms on a relatively smaller lot. Is that the sort of thing that would potentially drive that?
Yeah,
I'm
possible.
just saying, you know,
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
there's 5 buildings on a not that big a lot, so maybe that would.
but it's really driven by the septic capacity. It's not the buildings, it's the number of bedrooms.
Right,
in
yeah,
the-
but that's what I'm, you know,
Yeah.
there's probably 10 bedrooms on here in what, less than an acre, right?
11.
11 bedrooms.
Yeah,
there you
so
go.
that would not be the standard Title V allowance, but it's a pre-existing non-conforming.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to further my understanding here and understand that probably if you have relatively a lot of bedrooms for your lot size, that's gonna push you towards needing the IA system.
Yeah.
Is that a fair
So, yeah,
generalization?
Yeah, I'll generalize, not to pick on the coach.
Oh, no.
But in
it's
general,
all impertinent.
saying in general, on that size lot, you probably couldn't go in and have that number of bedrooms on that size lot.
Oh, I live in a 3 bedroom on that size a lot
Yeah.
for these reasons. I understand.
But every site, every situation is different. So that's why that you would go to the Board of Health. Like if someone wanted to do that, you could say, well, I'd go to the Board of Health and propose, like, maybe we could achieve compliance with the Title V regulations if we do an IA system, or if we do some other alternative or some combination. That's the part that,
Yeah,
gets worked out with the Board of Health.
Becomes case
Some
by case, I'm sure.
combination of technology and land site and land use development. Maybe they could get that bedroom count, but as a rule of thumb, it's basically 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet of lot area is the rule of thumb. And then beyond that, it's case by case, whether it's the proximity to sensitive areas, the lot size, all that kind of stuff gets worked out case by case. So.
If you wish, you're free to go. We just have a little bit of business to take care of.
Sure, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We'll probably talk about septic systems all night, but we're not. gonna do that.
I'm happy to talk about.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes, one from June 6th and one from July 11th. I have a couple of corrections to make on the June 6th meeting minutes. Members absent, I'm on page 1. Jared, you were not here on June 6th. So we need to add that to the members absent. If you go to page 5. A motion by Bob Sheldon. I'm in the I'm in the 3rd paragraph on page 5, a motion by Sheldon in the matter of case number ZBA 2024-2. The second was by Martin, not by Doug. And on page 8, the second motion at the bottom of this page, a motion by Sheldon, no, Martin Ridge made that motion in the case ZBA 2024-4.
You made that motion again?
A motion by
Ridge.
change Sheldon to Martin Ridge. And it was seconded by Justin, not Doug. And the last correction here is on page 9. Number 4. A motion not by Sheldon, but by Justin. Seconded not by Ridge, but by Doug Bird. So with those corrections, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 6th?
I have one other.
Oh, you have
quick
one?
question, yep.
Yeah. What page are
Also
you
on
on?
the same, on page 3, number 8, height and scale. Top of page 3. We're talking about the ridge height reduced from 57 to 54.1. That's just above sea level. I assume.
What do you want to add?
We should just be specific about that. It's above sea level, because sometimes when we're talking about building heights, we're talking about the actual ridge height. Oh, is this the case where it actually is the ridge height?
Yeah.
I think that's the case that we're talking about here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. Beach plum.
I'll add.
No. This is not the one on stilts. The house on stilts is really high. This is the one on Beach Plum. So we're talking about sea level height, or rather above sea level.
You're right. This is not the ridge height house.
So at sea level, above sea level.
Well, in general, what do we, when we're talking about this, do we want to talk about sea level, or we normally talk about ridge height as, you know, less than 30 feet? When you
Right.
say, so when you say the max ridge height,
Is re-
So
Okay, is reduced from 57 feet to 54.1 feet.
but when we use the term max, it's only relevant to the 30 feet. You know, like you could be on top of a hill.
for the roof.
Right, right. the
Okay,
ridge.
so the ridge height here is 54.1 feet above sea level is what Martin would like to add here.
Well, is that what we mean?
When we use the term max ridge height, we're normally talking about a number from,
Which one is this? Beach Plum?
Height and scale for
This is Beach Plum,
each
right?
plum.
Yeah.
Which is already up on a hill.
yeah, so
So is it really above sea level?
That's-
Well,
yeah,
the
I-
house, hold on.
So you talk about the
question.
grade.
I don't think
no, I'm
so.
saying the sentence itself, when we talk about the maximum ridge height.
How about this? These numbers sound weird. That house is not 57 feet,
No,
feet
because
tall.
it's
So what are
above
we,
sea level. But when
Okay.
you look at the plan will reference
it does call it out?
above sea level.
Okay.
And sometimes they're called ridge height. So if we're talking about the ridge height as a delta, it's 30 feet. But if you're talking about it as relative to sea level, then it's not. So it's like, it's not, we don't have anything that's relevant here. It's just, if it was on top of a mountain, it would be 800 feet high.
Mm.
I'm just saying we
Right, no,
should
no,
reference
yeah.
one of
The house is not 54 feet high when
I
you're
know.
standing next to it, so
course,
if
yeah.
it's relevant. It's relevant to the elevation of the site above sea level.
So we should say that,
Well, that would,
above sea
that
level.
would. Give it context.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, context.
Okay.
Just so that when someone's, I understand what you're saying, so if you go out to the site and you're standing next to it, it's not 54 feet.
Right.
High, it's just,
Oh, yeah.
you're up,
But 10 years from now, someone's
Yeah.
reading through this,
No, I-
oh, look, they allow these people
Yep.
to go 50.
I got it.
I follow,
Yeah.
yeah.
The new owners are gonna make a five-story out of it.
I got it.
Because in other places, we're talking about, oh, it's 29 feet and 6 inches.
Yeah.
And we know we're
exactly.
talking about, to the, you know, below 30.
Got it.
That's very good. We have, those are approved. Did we? accept those?
No, we don't have, okay, I need,
Motion to accept. the
I-
minutes of
yes,
June
yes.
6th.
Well, let me ask a broader question before we approve these. I just wondered, and Angie, I could be creating work for you here if they agree, so I'm sorry. When we put the finding as fact in here, you know, in this like is not format, and something is bolded and something is not bolded. It doesn't seem to me the clearest way to communicate what we wanted to. And I wonder if it's worth, when it goes into the minutes, noting this, you know, as just saying is or just saying is not. What are our thoughts on that? Or am I just
Are we in
making
the
work?
minutes or somewhere?
I'm talking about the minutes, right? For example, if we're on the June 6 minutes, you know, page 1 and 2, findings of fact. Right, every finding of fact, like look at paragraph 5,
Oh, okay.
right? After evaluation, the presented site, open bracket is/is not, close bracket adequate, and is in bold to indicate that was the fact. But I feel like a clearer way to express that fact would be to say the presented site is adequate for the proposed use. So this was
Yeah, yeah. I think that's how we usually do it. I think it
Yeah.
just got missed.
I get it, and I understand, and so that's why I'm trying to be sensitive to. If I'm just causing
Yeah,
problems,
so that it.
then we can leave it.
That's,
I'm just imagining a world, and it's not maybe not the world we live in anymore, but you know, 50 years from now, when somebody's reading a 4th generation copy of this document, is that bold? Is that not bold? Does this say is? Does it say is not? I don't know. Meanwhile, this is probably not going to make it through a 5th generation of Xerox copies. So, okay.
I think it's a very good point.
okay,
So the point is, so when we're talking about the proposed, so when it's in proposal format, the staff report, we're happy to see it in both is or is not and one highlighted.
yeah, the staff report is done that way because we're
It's a
giving you.
discussion- It's a discussion.
Absolutely.
topic.
And we're bolding because from our view, we think.
Yeah.
But the board,
It could
we
get
do it
marked-
that way because the board may disagree
If
with
you
that.
get-
And,
marked
and,
up.
and in the staff report, that makes 100% sense. Totally on board. I like that. I'm saying if somebody's looking at this record later,
No, I think we do normally change it,
Yeah,
okay.
so it reads clean
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay, that's not true in both of in the July and the June copies I have here, so that's fine. No, I'm not trying to pick on anybody or anything. I just,
I
okay,
could care less.
there you go. That's what I like to hear.
If I'm being perfectly honest, and I'm happy to make the change
All right.
Okay.
always to make sure that the record is correct.
Okay. Now may I have a motion to approve the minutes with corrections of June 6th?
So moved.
Okay. And a second, please.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Now let's go to July 11th. I have some corrections here as well. On page 1, members absent. I want to register the fact that Bob Sheldon came late to the meeting. Because later we have to remove him from something. A vote here. Okay, page 5. Oh, actually, I guess that's okay. I'm trying to reconcile the votes because most of the votes were 5-0 until it came time to,
Bottom of page 5 is a 6.
yes,
6-0.
and that's that was a motion to adjourn. Okay, that's something else I thought. Maybe not. Okay, number 4, no reorganization was needed because we did that in June. Okay, may I have a motion to,
Joanne, on number 5, my first name is spelled wrong and
where are we?
both, it's OD, not ED.
Will you tell me where we are? I don't have a copy of this.
Page 5, number 5.
Number
In
5.
the voting.
A motion
Got it.
to appoint the vice chair, et cetera, et cetera. It's
Got it,
Jared Odie.
got it.
It's correct on page 1. It's just not correct on page 5.
I get
Okay.
it.
And also a motion, number 1 under number 5 here. Again, Jared's name is misspelled. It should be Jarod. Okay. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the July minutes with those corrections?
I move that we accept the minutes.
9 seconds.
Okay,
That was Ridge and Bird.
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And on
And
our agenda, it says we're gonna reorganize the board again.
That's good.
So we'll just eliminate that.
Not it.
We're reorganized here. Okay, one last thing before we call it quits for the night. I have, I think, a list of
Information.
phone numbers and addresses and term limits, terms ending, and email addresses and when ethics expires. And then something, just a reminder about if you can't be present for a meeting, there's a law for that, or a regulation, I should say. And basically, you just need to let the chair of your committee know that you're not, for example, when Jared couldn't be here in June, he sent me an email saying that he was called out of town. He had to go to California and bask in the sun or something like that. Anyway, just so you let the chair know. Otherwise, if you accumulate, and this sort of came up when Brian Ridgway was a member of the board. If you miss 3 consecutive meetings in a row, you're considered vacating your position. And whether you wanted to be vacated or not, that's the way the regulation reads. So I just want everybody to let
Do you
you all know.
prefer to be notified by email or text?
Email is better.
Email is better.
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, and we need a motion now to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Okay. And
I would second that.
No seconds.
You gotta stay for a while.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.